Hi there, welcome to the More Sibyl Podcast. This is a podcast for Blacks, Asians, and those who love them. I am Mo, and I am your host, ready to spark your curiosity as I take you on this adventurous ride of exploring cultures through the stories of my guests from all over the world. On this show, we get really personal, discussing salient issues that are relevant to our contemporary age and also building community around them. As our guests exercise courage and vulnerability in sharing their life's experiences, we hope that in turn you are inspired by them and that you get the courage needed to set your own stories free. Enjoy the ride, and thank you so much for listening. Hello everyone. Welcome back to season 5 of the More Sibyl Podcast. It's been a very long time since I came on the mic, and to say that I'm super excited about this season would definitely be an understatement. There's so much that we have planned for you, and just even deeper ways to connect with, our listeners and ways to give back to our community. So for those that are just joining us for the very first time, welcome. My name is More Sibyl, and I am the host and producer of this wonderful show. Over the past 4 years, we have had amazing guests on the show and success stories, and just finding communities for people and being part of other communities as well. And if that's what you're into, then please stay for the long haul. I should also mention, sorry about my voice. I am battling allergies. Spring has sprung, so has allergies and all of the allergens that that affects me, like the trees and some specific woods, which with the kind of luck I have are very abundant in Oklahoma. So hence my scratchy voice. But we'll get the show done. But thank you all so much for this many years and for keeping the show going. Because without you, there really won't be a show. For those that are wondering who this person is, like I said, my name is Mo. I live in Oklahoma with my family. During the day, I have a full-time job as an assistant professor of pharmacy on a tenure track. And at night, or whenever time allows on the weekend, I do the podcast show. Our official app for listening to the show is Podbean. So you can download the app. It notifies you of when new episodes are rolled out. But wherever you get the podcast on is also okay. I've loved having this show. I've loved the opportunity to talk to people, to set stories free, to, connect with people, because I believe strongly that there's more, there's so much we have more in common than, separates us. So I guess, as you all might know, or maybe most of you might not know, we do take a break between December and April, and it's a very intentional break to kind of fill in my creative, bowl, and also take some time away from podcasting so I can read more, I can watch more stuff, listen to other things as well. I think that break really makes me well-rounded as, a person, and much more importantly, as a podcaster. I think I said that backward, but you get what I mean. But to give you an update or a little bit of a recap of what I've been up to since the show, I traveled to Nigeria with my family in December. I was there for a month, and that was really good because with the past 2 years we've had with the virus and whatnot, we're not going to be mentioning that virus's name here because I digress. Back to the light mode. Went to Nigeria, went to visit with my family. My father-in-law turned 80, which was really good. And, of course, Nigerians like parties. So they threw a party for him, and, it was really fun. And then just, did some other things as well. And then came back. And it took a while to kind of entrench myself back into the society, like the other part of the world. But since then, it's just been work and some travels. Now that we are able to travel, at least uninhibitedly, I've been able to make some trips, and I still have tons of travels left in the year, which, I would update you guys on my Instagram page like I always do. What's really new in my life? And I'm going through these questions that my assistant, prepared for me. Well, not much is new, as, New Year, same goals, right? Because the whole New Year resolution, I still think sometimes it's a cop-out to just want to give yourself stress. It doesn't really work for me. I set out goals, like every normal person, but I don't think of them as resolution. It's just me trying to work on things I probably didn't get to do last year. So as far as what's in my life, so nothing really, really new significantly, but I've had some changes, like big significant changes that have happened to me. And with time, as I'm able to open up, I would share more with you guys. But yeah, the past few months, I know it's just March at the time of this recording, right? It's just March, but it seems like I have lived like 2 years in the past 3 months because I've had a lot of changes happen, in my life. So I'm still reading. I'm currently reading this book that was, recommended to me by my friend Natasha, and it's the story of civilization. It was written by Will Durant and his wife Ariel. They wrote it many years ago, way before the internet was a thing. And it has like 11 volumes, and I'm still on volume 1, which is about 1,500 pages long. It's crazy. I went on Facebook Marketplace and I ordered like old copies of it because I wanted to have the hard copies as well. And I'm just learning about how the new world was formed. So right now I'm looking at Oriental heritage, learning more about China as a revolution and just all the things that have happened and how the world is kind of interconnected. And it was very important for me. I won't call myself like a history buff per se, but I do enjoy history. I like to know how the world was formed. And I think with recent happenings in the world, I really wanted to know much. I didn't want to rely on anecdotes, even though you can still consider books as someone's anecdotes. But the book was thoroughly researched. And I think it's more important because it was before the internet. And it has pictures, it has, a lot of stories, which, man, he and his wife spent 40 years just putting the book together. So that's what I'm currently reading. And some other books on, just life and all that kind of stuff. I'm still working out. I do about 3 to 4 times a week. It's still a mix of, strength training, so barbells, kettlebells, weights, of course. And I do dance, but I've kind of reduced my dance because I really wanted to focus more on my strength. I recently began resume playing pickleball again. So trying to factor that into my weekly routine. The weather is getting nicer soon, so I will probably resume my bike riding. So trying to just keep, fit. Weight loss has always been a struggle for me just because of hormonal issues with endometriosis and whatnot. But I've just thought to myself, you know what? Even if the scale is not going as down as you want it to go, just keep it moving. Exercise really does a lot of profit, to your body according to the Bible. So that's what I've been working on. What makes this new year different from the last year? Well, so I've been in therapy, as some of you know, and I know I feel like this episode is already getting so heavy, but one of the things I've been working on is just my reactions around things that are out of my control. One of the things my therapist, because I believe that therapy really helps you, especially if you're yielding to provide the information to your therapist, is on mapping out a new path in my brain, because I have, apparently the word is anxiety. Anxiety has just been it's crippled me a lot in many ways. And I know for some of you who might know me, it might sound really strange hearing me say this, because if anything, I seem like someone that can get everything done. But it hasn't been without just a lot of fears that I let hang over me. So I've been exploring that in therapy, just anxiety, my relationship with anxiety, and just, trying to understand the root causes of them so that I don't keep, falling into the despair of anxiety. So that's one of the things I've been exploring in therapy, and that has been quite useful. And I'm so thankful for my therapist that she's wise in the sense that she's able to even, because I just tell her stuff, and she's able to find the meanings behind them, even when I'm not trying to ascribe meanings to them, right? So new adventures for this year. I have some European trips. Oh God, I think I shouldn't count my chickens before they are hatched. With COVID and whatnot. I don't want to mention that name, but you guys know who. The one which we shouldn't mention, the virus. Who knows what's gonna happen in the next 4 or 5 months? But just if what you just go according to plan, I have so many trips planned this year. I have an European trip sometime in the summer, in the fall, I think. I'm also going back on a cruise, and sometime later this year, and I have some interstate trips. I will be going to about 7 new states that I have never ventured into, and I'm super excited because these are like Midwest states that I have never ever been to. So Utah, Wisconsin, and Ohio, and I think I have others that I haven't really worked my schedule around. But yes, you're gonna hear more about those trips as I get them completed or as I'm undertaking them. So let's do a quick recap of last season's episodes. Well, we had a total of 42 episodes last season, which was a bomb. 42, guys. I mean, let us sink in. That's a lot of conversations that we had, with different people. I mean, there were monologues interspersed in between, but just the privilege to talk to people. I'm sorry, I meant 41 episodes. We had a total of 41 episodes. That's 41 conversations with people, including myself, as monologues. And that's really amazing. So let's do a recap. As usual, it was diverse voices, ranging from technology with, Talk with Bane, which you guys really liked. So FYI, this new season has more stuff on technology that we plan out, like just investing in technology. And we're going to bring in experts to talk about financial literacy, real estate investment. So just get ready. And of course, Linda, my dear friend and sister, came on the show a couple of times. We talked about cancel culture, even chatting with Dagmar, who was, born with Stargardt macular dystrophy, which has, made her lose her, sight progressively. And I talked to a Catholic priest, the TikTok priest. We talked about his faith. But there's so many things that I could, keep picking from last season. But just a roll call on if you followed the Instagram page, which if you're yet to, go follow us on Instagram, okay? At the More Sibyl Podcast, okay? The More Sibyl Podcast on Instagram. And so episodes with the most listens last season. So first is Robert Cabrera. He was the second runner-up. And this was episode 22, where we talked about finding purpose in uncertainty. He was born, in Rwanda, and he experienced the genocide, and they had to flee Rwanda to go to a refugee camp. And from there, he found his purpose. And today, he's really doing well in trying to find technology and energy solutions in Africa as a whole, and also agro investments as well. And I learned a lot about cocoa farms and just the politics behind it. Cool episode. Go check it out. The first runner-up was, the immigration story I shared about myself and T-Dog. That was episode 32. And this was very important because, for those that don't know, we got our green card a couple of years ago. But before then, it was really, really difficult. Our path to the US and just the things that happened in between made for a very tense situation. And it's always good to look back, to use your stories to encourage others, because people see you as someone that is put together. Yes, that is true, but a lot has gone into that, and I don't never want to forget, the struggles, not as a way to look back on them and what's the word? Have that childlike, swoon over them. It's really to take our stories to encourage others. So we share that a lot, and just the things we've learned. And so if that episode resonates with you, please share it with those that might be in the pickle as well. We've seen it all. Like, we've experienced, you just have to listen to know what I'm trying to talk about. And then, of course, the number one most listened to episode was the one with Gerard Ebepo, being single, and she shared the female perspective. And I thought this was really, really freeing, because Even as someone married, I learned a lot from her. And Girarde, as some of you might know or don't know, she's my plantain chips supplier. I have been eating Girarde's chips for the past 10 years and counting, and it's never disappointed me. As a matter of fact, when I went back home this past period, Girarde stopped by to visit with my orders, and I had a box full, almost a box full of Girarde's chips. My only regret was that I couldn't buy them all because of space considerations. So if you're ever in Lagos or Nigeria, wherever you might be, go order Girarde's chips. You'll thank me. I have introduced many people to her chips, and I have never heard someone say, oh, those were bad chips. They're always good. I have run out of my supplies, and right now I'm in withdrawal stage, which is not good for me. It's not healthy for me. I need more chips. So if you're coming from Lagos anytime soon, please get me Girarde's chips. I will love you for a very long time. That's what I'm trying to say. So those are those 3 episodes. Now let's talk about the episode with the highest downloads last season. That will be the episode with Olayinka Alaka Favor. Favor Alaka. The one with Olayinka Favor Alaka, my sister. The number 1, the baddest sex coach. Sex coach so bad. And we talked about the biblical perspective on sex. This was episode 2. And if you don't know anything about Yinka likes 2 things, talking about 2 things. She likes talking about mathematics and also about sex in a biblical way. And she's raw without being vulgar. I think that's, let me put that out there. But and as a person, I've used her, personally to, really correct and work on my relationship with sex, because it came at a very abrupt way growing up. So anyways, go listen to that episode, and I believe Yinka is still taking on new clients. So if you and your partner would like to explore what the Bible has to say about sex and get practical tips, and I'm not kidding about it, she will give you the work to do, she'll give you assignments to do. Go check out Yinka. Now, the most watched YouTube video was the one with Yuka Wanshiba, and it's on our YouTube page. For those that don't know, we actually do have a YouTube page, which we also upload episodes on. And Yuka is my Japanese sister based in Kenya. And then Hasa Yuka, she's also learning Korean. So just shout out to Yuka. Her episode, marrying a Kenyan, and the cultural clashes, and just having to, I think, cultural harmony eventually, because Yuka tells us the perspective of even raising kids in a very polycultural household, and all the things she's had to learn, living Japan, and because she moved to the UK and then finally had to move to Kenya. So go check out that episode. And then last but not the least, let's talk about the most engaged listeners. Before I tell you, you already know the answer, because if you follow the Instagram page, it's right there. But the person, honorable mentions would be Abiola Kajo Pelaye Ola. She's based in Canada. Shout out to Abiola. Abiola is also one of our top listeners of the show. Of course, I will be very amiss not to mention the Popolas, top fans also in the UK. So shout out to Mama Pop and Mr. Kenny, who are wonderful parents to Princess Olivia and Peter with the cherubim chicks. Peter has, cheeky cheeks that I just want to pinch someday. I cannot wait for the day to pinch them. I hope he still retains those cheeks for the next time, for the very first time I would see him, like for whenever I'm able to see him, rather. And then, drum roll, the most engaged person of the year would be Omomi Afolabi. Omomi and I go a long way. We met in Nigeria, which was way, way many years ago. I was still in my early 20s then, and we met on a mission trip to Badagry, and you see someone and you just sense a kindred spirit, and we've kept in touch, and she's just a sister. She also helped in getting this show, up and running. Amon was one of the first people I reached out to, because then she was always doing a daily voice note of, Bible passages and just inspiring people. And she was quite consistent with it. And I thought, how are you able to just share it with people? I know she was like, it's just too much. She was like, you gotta launch your podcast. So it's been 4 years and counting of her supporting the show, and she hasn't stopped. She frequently checks in, she provides feedbacks and compliments, she shares, she's recommended people to the podcast, she's recommended her family to listen to the podcast. As a matter of fact, she told her big sister, so shout out to Sister Bolale, to come for our podcast party, which, I had the pleasure of meeting her in Nigeria. And Awomi has been an invaluable member of the team, and she constantly looks for ways to improve our quality. And let me give you an example of something she did that really blew my mind. I have put out the link to the podcast hangout party that we're going to hold in Nigeria. This was at the end of last year. And something that happened to the link that I didn't even check because my VA had set it up. And my mom quickly told me, hey, Mom, you need to fix your link. It's not working. It's not working. And we're able to like do that last minute. And thank God that, we corrected that problem before, we lost a lot of people. But anyways, that's something that my mommy does. So I want to say thank you so much, Mommy. And this episode is almost, getting to the very end because I've been talking for quite a while. But I just want to say thank you, really. Know that with every season, there's a new level of boldness and vulnerability. And as we've always done on this show, the goal for this season is to drive more authentic conversations as our guests, explore their stories, and even give you just a peek into their journeys. So get ready for diverse guests, for deep conversations, topics we're not supposed to talk about, inspirational stories, all mixed with a fine blend of laughter and fun. We are always in the business of sharing stories. So if you have a story you'd like to share, please let us know. It doesn't need to be scandalous. There's something to learn from every experience. We all have a story. It's just a matter of you thinking or even acknowledging that there's a story, in there. And if you're not ready, that's okay. Keep listening and keep engaging. Whenever you're ready, we hope that you would, think of us as a platform to share your story. And please, we still want you to, keep sending your feedback, keep engaging with the show. However we can support your journey as well, or let me link you to other communities. Please let us know. Your engagement keeps us going. So keep in touch with us in the comment sections. Our Instagram page, we have a Facebook page. We have newsletters that go out. So if you want to be on the newsletter, please set it up. I'm also considering doing a WhatsApp broadcast list to kind of have a group where we connect with the top listeners. Now, I'm very worried of broadcast groups or WhatsApp groups just because of how crazy they can get. So I'm still thinking of ways where things will not get out of hand. We're going to also roll out surveys, soon to kind of know how best we can serve you. And you can stand a chance of winning a gift card by participating. All right, before I go, I would like to make a very big announcement that is going to impact the show as we move forward. Just a heads up for this very big announcement. There's a big change coming to the podcast, and it's a very, very big change in the sense that I'll be having a regular co-host. Now, this person, it didn't just come like a flash in the pan idea to have them as a co-host. Someone that has really shaped my journey as a person, as a person, like every entity you see in front of you, they have been an integral part of my life for the past 18 years. And so to have them as a co-host, it comes from a place of trust and an opportunity to take our conversations from WhatsApp, which, we have tons of texting between us and metadata, and just spew that onto the podcast. So just get ready for just more discoveries, a broader perspective. And he's someone I also respect a lot. And above being my friend, I also see him as a mentor, and he's, shaped my writing, my thinking, and our conversations are just almost like eating another, set of meal every time I have to talk, because he feeds my soul, right? So his name is Dr. Ayomide Adebayo. He's been on the show a couple of times, wants to just share his story. We have a lot in common. We both love C.S. Lewis. We both love science and technology. We both love books. We both love Jesus. So you're gonna be seeing a lot of that conversations. And I know for those of you that know him, you're probably screaming by now. And so I'm super excited to have Ayomide be a regular co-host on the show. And yeah, just get ready for it. And for those that don't know him, he's also a psychiatrist based in UK. And so a lot of things we'll be talking about is still similar to what we've been talking about on the show. Just culture and what does it mean to be a cultural misfit? What makes you stand out? The things you're probably not comfortable with, but you've taken that as an identity to be like, okay, this is my light, and I'm going to just make it shine. So all of that and many stuff you're going to be hearing more about. So Don't forget to catch the next episode because it's gonna be with Ayomide and I, and we'll be talking about friendships and just how our friendship started and what does it mean to be a friend. A damn good friend in the world where, the word friends is probably, Facebook friends or real life friends or best friends or acquaintances and all of those, stuff, come to play. And now I'd like for you to hear a little bit from our new co-host, Dr. Ayomide Adebayo.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Ayomide and I'm so excited to be here on the More Sibyl Podcast with a very good friend and co-host with Mo and be part of this amazing space that she has built. The More Sibyl Podcast has been around for the past 5 years, and Mo created it as a resource and a safe space for Blacks, Asians, and all the people who love us. It's a space to share stories, thoughts, processes, to build a community around important and salient issues that affect every one of us. In every episode of the podcast, you get to hear amazing stories from people just like you who show us how to get more out of life. These stories have been carefully selected and they're stories that inspire us. And the journeys of these people are courageous. And most importantly, they're people who are willing to be vulnerable about their lives and to share deep things and just powerful things in the hope that someone else can learn something from them. And we know that you will find them as inspiring as we do. Going forward, I'll be co-hosting with Mo, and hopefully podcast interviews will be more conversational. I've been friends with Mo for years, over almost 2 decades at this point, and we've always enjoyed talking together. We've always enjoyed laughing together and just having fun. And we're hoping that we can bring this to the podcast and share this with everyone else. If you haven't already, hop on over to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, leave a rating, and review the podcast because this helps tremendously in growing it and reaching amazing people like yourselves. You can reach the podcast at talktomo@moresibyl.com for inquiries, sponsorship deals, guest appearances. And to every single guest who has graced the podcast with their presence through the previous 100 episodes, we're so grateful and blessed that you've shared your story with everyone who's listening. Your story has been a resource, a tool of hope, an instrument of change in the lives of listeners, and the feedback shows this. You're deeply appreciated. So join us. Catch up on previous episodes at moresibyl.com. You're gonna have a great time. See you next week.
If you made it thus far in the recording, thank you so much. And there's a surprise for you. Go on the podcast Instagram page at the More Sibyl Podcast and put a comment on there. The first person to comment on this new change to the show, referencing the new change we just talked about, you'll be in for a surprise gift. So go do that now. Don't forget, go to the Instagram and handle at the More Sibyl Podcast and comment on the show notes for this particular episode. The first person to make that comment, you will be getting a surprise gift from us. In any event, thank you so much for your continued listenership over the years. Without you guys, really, there will be no podcast. I will look forward to seeing you at our next birthday party because the show just turned 4. And finally, will be sponsors. If you like to sponsor a segment on the show, our listeners are very broad. They are diverse groups, but the commonality is that these are people who want to grow and they have that propensity for increasing in the self-development area. And our listeners are mostly in Nigeria, in the US, and in other parts of Asia like Korea, India, and Singapore as well. And we also have a listener base in Europe, UK, Germany. So if this cuts across your needs as a sponsor, please get in touch with us. Our information can be found on the website www.moresibyl.com. And guys, don't forget to check out more episodes on the podcast website or even wherever you get your podcast. And as always, I remain your host, More Sibyl. Thank you all and have a wonderful rest of your day. And catch you guys on another episode of the More Sibyl Podcast. Bye.
Mm-hmm.